Hi everybody, I'm on about my third or fourth video attempt to talk about this subject. I keep running out of time and just generally feeling like I didn't cover everything and say everything I wanted to say. I want to talk about how we end up in cultural disagreement, these perpetual disagreements for which there seems to never be any resolution ever. And I'll use the example of like more recently the NFL protests, like Colin Kaepernick. Dude hasn't even played football for several years, and we still talking about it. Why? I'm going to get into that. But along with Colin Kaepernick comes there's other issues such as, transphobia, transgenderism, gender fluidity issues, the next civil rights issue, whatever you want to call it. Intersectionality, group identity, racism, unconscious bias, white privilege, all of that. I had this a bit of an epiphany while I was actually having a conversation about white privilege on another video. And it's great that somebody wants to engage that, because I love to talk about these things, because at the end I feel like I've really learned something. So I hope people will sound off in the comments. And if I'm wrong on something, by all means, sound off and correct me. Just don't be a dick, please. This isn't I'm not trying to start fights here. I'm trying to start conversations. So what am I getting at? I'm getting at the fact that when we have societal disagreements, it's based on beliefs. So as a culture, we have beliefs that are ingrained in several things. They're ingrained in tradition, and they're propagated and perpetuated by authority. They are perpetuated by personal experience that corroborates what's tradition and what's being told to us by authority. And then it's also corroborated by societal evidence and cultural evidence, okay? So, simple example, Christmas and Santa Claus, okay? If you're not a Santa family, bear with me, okay? You might be Jewish, Hanukkah, or Indian, or any general non-Santa family, okay? But we're all familiar with Santa Claus, so that's what I'm rolling with, okay? Children who grow up in Santa families grow up believing in Santa Claus, the magic fat ass in red pajamas that somehow or another sucks his gut in and comes down a tiny ass chimney. Or if you're in an apartment, I don't know, he fucking climbs through the window and somehow manages to not get shot. The dude with 8 reindeer and a sleigh, he's still on like technology from like the 1800s minimum. Going around giving Christmas presents. Pretty damn ridiculous, right? But kids believe it. Why do they believe it? Because their parents tell them that it's true. It's starting from a very, very early age. And the parents are the ultimate authority in their lives. So mom and dad say it's true, so it must be true. Even if they doubt it, what happens? On Christmas Day, they wake up, there's a bunch of gifts under their tree where the magic fat man somehow came down the chimney. Or say fat, I shouldn't say fat anymore. I should say horizontally gifted, or a obese American, whatever. Come down the chimney. Now suddenly there's presents under the tree, and somebody drank the milk and ate the cookies, right? If that's not enough, then everywhere you go during the Christmas season, Santa's fucking everywhere, right? Kids see Santa at the mall. They get their picture taken with Santa at the mall. There's Christmas music going, talking about Santa. Everybody's talking about Santa. All the other kids at school are talking about Santa. And so it's all around them, right? Physically and on posters, and everybody talks about it. There's no reason to not believe in Santa. My son is about to be 10, still believes in Santa. I put it together a little quicker than he did when I was a kid, but the thing is, I think now there's more sources of evidence than before, because they got the internet and the interwebs and all that other stuff, right? So I mean, at least when I was a kid, there wasn't any of that. But anyways, so what is it? I mean, we're the authorities, and we know that it's false. We know that it's not true. But we lie to our children and tell them that is true. Why? Number of reasons. Most of it is just tradition. It's tradition. And if we don't, then our kids are going to grow up in a society where there's all the sorts of evidence for Santa Claus, and then they're going to look at you like, why the hell do you think he doesn't exist? Like, Dad, he's right there. And you're like, fuck, fine, he's real. Right? So even though we know it's not true, we still go along with it because that's what we've always done. And even if we don't go along with it, our kids are going to notice that. And then it's just weird. So it's like, you know what? They'll figure it out eventually. We're going to roll with it. Okay? Now that's a perfect example of how society forms belief in a subset of society and culture, children, where the authority figures, and we perpetuate the lie voluntarily, because even if we don't perpetuate the lie, it's going to get perpetuated to our kids anyways, because Santa's freaking everywhere. All right? And to the child, their evidence is in the parents, it's in the gifts under the tree, the milk, the cookies, all over the mall, all over the TV, all over the radio, all over school. Their friends talk about it. Santa must be real. Now, do you see where I'm going with this? Because the next step in the parade is people that want to take the piss out of other people do this. They pick these topics for which there is a lot of evidence in society, in culture, in personal experiences. There are certain common experiences that it doesn't matter who you are. You have these experiences. You experience struggle. You experience challenges. You experience, burdens and barricades in your path to success. Everybody experiences these things. What people like to do is they like to start taking individual examples and saying, this is why you're struggling. This is why this barricade is in your path. This is why you are having difficulty, right? And the overall answer to this is life is hard. Life is hard. But the reasons why life is hard, people want more reasons. So we start trying to explain it. And God knows all of our best philosophers, we've been trying for centuries to figure out what the meaning of life is and why we're even here, right? So don't sweat it, because everybody's been trying to think about this shit for a long time, okay? But I want to bring up, because we were discussing white privilege, and this is where it hit me, because white privilege is one of these awesomely ambiguous things for which you're either going to believe it exists or you're not, okay? And it's not just white people that don't believe it, okay? I've seen in the last little bit where I started looking into this stuff, I've seen many videos of black people calling it into question as well for the same reasons. It's like, well, I mean, life is hard. Yeah, we struggle. Yeah, just because you meet someone who's racist doesn't mean that there's such a thing as white privilege, or unconscious bias. Although I can understand perfectly well how unconscious bias comes to be believed in, right? Because when you tell any white person about racism, and the first thing they do is tell you how racism doesn't exist, and eventually you just get to the point where you look to your friends and you're like, they don't even fucking know, there's just not there. There's just nothing. It's unconscious. They don't know. They really just think, yeah, right. I can totally see how unconscious bias comes around, okay? Because even I see it, right? But here's the thing, right? People of all colors are calling into question whether or not white privilege exists and whether or not white privilege doesn't exist. Okay? And there's people of all colors on both sides having this fucking conversation. Endlessly. And the same reason why we're still talking about Colin Kaepernick and kneeling for the anthem 3 years later. It goes from just one individual's expression of personal beliefs into whether or not he's being disrespectful to veterans, whether or not black people are actually oppressed, to whose lives actually really matter, which is fucking stupid. we're all gonna look back on that in 20. We're all gonna look back on this shit like it's Y2K. If anybody remembers Y2K, right? It's all Y2K, and same shit over and over. You know, the next time something new comes up, just say, yeah, it's a new Y2K. We're on the same page here. You know, with shit like white privilege and toxic masculinity is another one that's come up recently. The NFL and kneeling in protest. Hands up, don't shoot was a big one. Black lives matter, blue lives matter, all lives matter, no lives matter. The white supremacists and racism. And the crazy fucks from the Flat Earth Society, they just come in from the side like, yo, Earth's flat, y'all. Right? Now think about this. Motherfuckers think the Earth is flat. Why? Because, in my opinion, okay, because, no, I have not been up into a rocket and viewed the planet, okay? But let's just say that in history, centuries ago, we thought the Earth was flat. A number of very smart people presented compelling evidence for the fact that the Earth was flat. We had they had the best scientists, mathematicians, and engineers who all had convincing proofs that the Earth was flat. And then, I don't remember if it was Copernicus or Galileo, somebody can look it up, whoever proved that the Earth was round, they had very compelling proofs for the fact that the Earth was indeed actually round. Mainly the motion of the sun and the motion of the other planets against the stars, right? But there have been a number of compelling proofs and arguments for the rotundity of planet Earth, right? But you're still going to have two groups of people, those who believe the Earth is round and those who believe the Earth is flat. And good luck changing either one of their minds, right? Same thing about racism, unconscious bias, white privilege. Those who believe it's there and those who don't. Good luck changing their minds, right? And so what happens? We have the authorities, and this is one reason why I think social media is really becoming anti-social media. Because these algorithms, we no longer get to really, when you're on social media and Facebook, it's free. And like Facebook and Twitter, like all these social medias, they are now just putting you in an echo chamber, and your phone is only showing you the things that you want to see, and the things you want to talk, or the things that you talk about. And people only talk about the things that they like or the things that they really don't like. And when people disagree, when people get mad, people start talking, right? That's the thing with politics, right? If you want people to click on ads and watch advertisements, you got to have a headline or a news piece or something that pisses a bunch of people off, right? You want to get a bunch of clicks, piss off people, and then put an ad, right? You want to make some money on ads? Get a gun company to sponsor you, and then just put an ad out there saying the president's coming to take your guns, and here's why. Have you seen today's new legislation to remove guns? And then you put an advertisement for gun safes on the video, and people are like, "Oh my God, they're coming for my guns! Oh, safe! Hey, yeah, you know what? I might need that," and you make some money. Yeah. So there is money to be had in sowing disagreement and pissing people off. And there's money to be had in making sure that the arguments stay alive and perpetual. Because as long as people are fighting over it, someone is profiting. And that's that's it there for social media. But they're taking advantage of this phenomenon that we have in culture. And that is that when people have their beliefs, they got their beliefs, and there's always somebody who's going to believe counter. You just take these people and these people, run them through an algorithm, get them to fight, and sell some ads. Okay? Don't believe everything you hear. Okay? And I'm out of time. I may have to end up, I don't know, I don't want to do another video. This is my third try. I'm rolling with this one, okay? Please comment. We'll finish this in the comments, and I don't know, maybe I'll put out like another-ish number of videos. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, comment, or share, and I'll see you on the next video.